get behind the issue, speak to the newsmakers, present the relevant fact in a way that tells the full story. Newsline, an in-depth probe into the news headlines. The news never sleeps. My name is Moro Awudu. Join me from Monday to Friday at 10:30 p.m. on Metro TV for Newsline.
Ghana is a beautiful country. There is so much of it you probably haven't seen, haven't experienced, haven't touched, haven't felt, haven't eaten. When this is all over, let's discover our land again with new eyes. Let's feel each other again. We are one people, brought together by destiny. Let's make that count. Let's show love for each other and our environment. Let's tell our stories, and let's watch and listen to our stories. There will be so much to tell. Ghana is a truly beautiful country. Be Ghana, stay in Ghana, experience Ghana, make Ghana great. And we will invite the world to come and experience Ghana too. But for now, stay home. Brought to you by the National Film Authority. Supports the Stay Home and Discover Ghana Later campaign. This channel supports.
Welcome to Good Afternoon, Ghana. I'm Francisca Kakra Forson. We're still having a conversation about the state of the Ghanaian media and press freedom. Today, we are sitting down.
Need a little help? Nobody does it better. At UCS Facility Management, we give you the best in janitorial services, which include high-rise window cleaning, office cleaning, post-construction cleaning, facade washing, deep cleaning, carpet cleaning, swimming pool cleaning, and event janitorial services. Locate us at Jowolu, JA Plant Pool premises, or call us on 0501 666 322 or 0203 299 212 or 0203 299 234. UCS, your property is under our care.
You've been preparing for it. The final stretch of the football season. With it comes fierce rivalry, devastating heartbreak, and historic victories. But whatever comes our way, as football fans, we stand by.
Okay, welcome back. I'm Francisca Kakra Forson. You can join this conversation, which is streaming live on social media. Go to Metro News or Metro TV GH, Metro TV Ghana rather, on Facebook and Twitter. It's at Metro TV GH. It's also live on YouTube, Metro TV Ghana. And you can send your messages. Please do not call, but send a message to the WhatsApp number 054-708-6939. It will be displaying on your screen shortly. Before we start the conversation with the ambassador, I want us to look at what the Media Foundation for West Africa put together. They looked at a number of violations against journalists up to the period of 2020. What I'll do on this show is that I'll look at a few of them from 2017, January 2017 to December 2020, and they'll be displaying on your screen just about now. We'll start off with December 2017. This is 21st December 2017. 4 journalists from TV3, CTFM, and Ghana Web were physically attacked by security officers manning the NPP party headquarters in Accra. They were brutalized by the security guards for covering a protest that ensued at the party headquarters. We'll move to 31st January 2018. A TV3 network journalist, Kwachi Afrenyama, was also assaulted. Now, what is this about? An activist of the ruling MPP, Hajia Fati, threatened the journalist for reporting her colleague, one Hajia Boya Musa, to the police. Hajia Musa had, on the previous day, issued death threats against the journalist for repeatedly criticizing the Minister for Water Resources and Sanitation on Facebook. We'll go to May, 30th May 2018, Ahmed Hussein Swale of Tiger IPI. This was about a member of parliament for Asen Central, Kennedy Ejepon, who threatened the life of Ahmed Hussein Swale. Ahmed is a member of the Tiger IPI team. The MP called on his supporters to beat him up. And Ahmed Hussein Swale later was killed in a tragic and horrific incident, which is still under investigations. We are yet to find out the outcome. We are yet to find the perpetrators. And he was associated with ACE investigative journalist Anas Arimeyao Anas. We'll go to 29th October 2018. Kwesi Parker Wilson of Joy FM was also violated. So a security guard of the former president, John Mahama, reportedly assaulted the journalist who was covering the former president's campaign visit to the Pentecost University in Accra. And on January 16, 2019, this is when Ahmed died. So I had mentioned him earlier. He was shot and killed by gunmen. This was during the time of, I think, number 13, the football series that, the corruption in football series that Anas Arimeyao Anas had conducted. And if you remember, just over the weekend on Saturday, I spoke to another Joy News journalist, Erastus Asare Donko, who was also doing a report on Galamsey with the government task force, and they were assaulted by some security personnel, detained, their cameras destroyed, and their footage deleted, their car damaged. This was this year. This happened in January this year. So it appears that has become a trend. Some people will say this is good for democracy because it means that the journalists are also pushing to do their work. Some others will say that this is a mark of retrogression. But interestingly, we have a man who has seen it all in terms of media in Ghana. I'd like to mention his name, and I'd like to mention it correctly. Ambassador Haruna Atta, MOV, and he's been awarded for his work in this country. He's a member of the Volta. Good afternoon to you, and it's a pleasure to have you in the studio. Good afternoon, Francisca. Yes. Nice to be in this beautiful studio. I've never been here. So swanky, really. Thank you. Honestly, it's nice. Thank you. It's nice. Yes, and later on we'll be talking about your book, Ahwene Pankasa. There's an interesting chapter where you talk about the culture of silence. Yes. I think we'll bring that back, read a bit of that, because it kind of fits the times that we are in and the things that are going on. Indeed, and that is very coincidental because Dr. Sam Jonah raised the issue recently. Yes. And there was brouhaha about it, but I wrote this since last year. Yes, yes, very well. Yes, so Ambassador, how have you been, by the way? Forgive me for not asking. Oh, that's fine. I must also make a few corrections, just additions to my current status. I was actually appointed High Commissioner to Namibia and Botswana by President Mahama, not President Mills. Oh. And then I moved on from the Statesman. I resigned and I established the Accra Mail. Yes. So I was at the Accra Mail when I got the appointment to be a High Commissioner. So just these little things. No, it's important. Thank you for that clarification. I'll start. I wanted to know how you're doing, how you've been. Yeah, so far so good. When you are getting on in years, and I'm going to be 17 magazine. Yeah, that was long before the newspapers became popular. So long ago, I can't even remember, was it in the 80s or early 90s, but it was long ago. But there's an interesting, if I should say, cloud. I don't use it negatively, but there's an interesting cloud around your personality. Okay, so when you entered journalism, you became the editor for the Statesman newspaper, which was associated or said to be owned by the NPP at the time, a relative of today's president. And you wrote stories,
Yeah.
one of which landed you into trouble
Yes.
with the former First Lady,
Yes.
the wife of the late Jerry John Rawlings.
Yes.
And they took you into Nsawam for that.
Yes.
But the interesting thing is that she was your sister-in-law.
She still is.
She is your sister-in-law.
Yes.
And you were perceived MPP at that time.
Yes.
In recent times, you were perceived more NDC.
Yeah.
What goes into this enigmatic character or personality of yours?
In fact, you've used one of the best words to be used on me. Nobody has used this word. It's the enigma I don't understand myself. Bringing it about 25% of the revenue to the newspaper. So could I take it as an editor? So it wasn't as if I applied for it or something. It was rather that I was invited because of my earlier voluntary contributions. So after a while, there was a kind of disagreement of certain principles. So I just moved on and established my own newspaper. So the cloud, you are right, it's there over my head, but it's explainable.
Okay. So just a bit of wardrobe malfunction. One of my producers is going to address your nose mask. If you don't mind, you can take it off. But in the meantime, if you just joined this conversation, we're streaming live on social media. We have Harunata in the studio. His career in journalism has been interesting and fantastic. I was going through his life and it was as though I was watching a movie. It's an interesting career he's had, and I wonder how it felt to be in Saum.
Well, the prison is a whole subculture. When I got in there, by the time I arrived, we were sentenced at about 11 a.m. and our lawyers were trying to get us a stay of execution, which never came. So by the time I got to prison, it was about 4, 5, almost 6 p.m. All the time I was in handcuffs. So when I got there, my wrists here were terribly chafed and sore. And we were checked in. But there's a little detail I would say for your listeners and your viewers, just for a little entertainment. When we got in, we were being processed. I was with my good friend Kweku Baku. And part of the processing ceremony, so to call it, is they'll strip you, and then you turn your, excuse the word, your backside to them, and they will inspect inside there. I had never been to prison before, but Kweku Baku had, so he was experienced. I'm sure if I was before him, I probably would have thrown down my trousers for them to do that humiliating thing. But when we got to them, and the prison warder who was processing us said, Mr. Baku, you know we have to inspect. He said, I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. You want to humiliate, I won't do it. Then the prison officer said, but Mr. Baku, it's regulation. He said, I won't do it. You want to humiliate me. So, of course, Kweku didn't strip naked for anyone to look into his a-hole. So I was also emboldened. When it got to me, I showed the face. So nobody went into our whatever. But those are the kinds of things you go through in prison. After a week, they transferred me to Akuse prison, and then they sent Kweku to Winneba prison. It's a subculture in prison, and I don't recommend it for even my enemy. Even for the 1 month I was in there, was terrible. I felt so ill in prison, but then the human being's compassion and humanity comes through. It doesn't matter where you find yourself. The prisoners rallied, boiled hot water, massaged me, got rope. I don't know where they got the rope from, massaged my body. They showed so much compassion. But because of who I was rushed to the hospital the next day. And then there were 2 or 3 doctors who had come in. A doctor friend of mine had come in from Accra. The Minister of Health doctor at Akuse had also come in. So the prisoner said, so there are we are different people who have been here for centuries. We've never seen a doctor with one doctor even with our eyes for all the time we've been here. But someone comes, look, 2 doctors are already standing on him.
You were getting special treatment.
Yeah, so that's how it is. And our prisons are terrible places, terrible, terrible places. So
you talk about how you felt and the fact that you had a bit of injury or slight cut to your wrist because of the handcuffs that you were put in. And we're looking at the recent incident at City FM where a journalist was put in a similar situation. Yours might have been at the height of it. You were in prison because criminal libel law was in place at that time. Looking at the culture then, what was described as the culture of silence and impunity, the disappearance of journalists such as Tommy Thompson, etc., comparing that to now, what has changed? Now that we still have detentions and alleged assaults.
Actually, nothing has changed. Things have worsened. There's again a little correction in detail. We went in for ordinary libel, but then my sister-in-law was not too happy with what was going on, so she cited us for contempt. Then the court which was hearing our case freed us, said there was no need to incarcerate us. And we had also asked for some reliefs, and he denied us those reliefs. So it was like 1-1 draw. That was when her lawyers then decided to appeal the decision of the lower court, and then it went to the Court of Appeal, and 3 of the judges, the elderly judges on the panel, they said we were in contempt of the lower court and so we should go in. But then the younger judge among them, he dissented and gave what I thought was a brilliant reason why he thought we should rather go back to the lower court which set us free. And they, the Court of Appeal, had no hand in jailing us for something we did not against them. So anyway, that was the situation. So we didn't even go in for criminal libel. But if I'm to compare it to now, I would say things haven't changed. Things are even worse. I have a copy of the MFWA report here.
The Media Foundation.
The Media Foundation. So when you invited me for this program, I decided to research. I didn't want to come on and just talk about
a journalist, always a journalist.
Always a journalist. So I even have a printout here. And when you read it, it's rather very heartbreaking that after all these years, the media is still under threat. And by the way, I called Bernard Avle, your colleague at City FM, to commiserate with him and his colleagues, and then to just solidarize in my own little way. But then I asked him a question. I said, but Bernard, your colleagues, aren't they solidarizing with you, the Ghanaian media? Aren't they withdrawing their services even for 1 hour? Is there no protest? He said, he shook his head. And for a very determined and enterprising young journalist like Bernard, I could tell a certain pain in his voice. And then he went on further and said to me that there's no unity amongst Ghanaian journalists these days. Some even think they deserve it. It was very heartbreaking. So the situation is, it's a very fluid situation. You cannot even point to a friend anymore in your...
Because they are competitors in the business.
Yeah, but then, and so on. But that was kind of pressure he got from journalists, from the civil society, and from the international community. But this one, listening to what happened to the young lady and the young man in their interview, it was not right. And Francisca, let me not digress, but let me make this point. So the young man, when he was talking, he said one of the men, whether policeman, whether security, whatever, had asked him where he comes from. And he was fumbling, he didn't want to say it. And then another one said to him, it is for me the one issue in that interview that makes all the other issues go into the background.
And then in terms of journalism. You're telling us that in your time there would have been some kind of aluta from all the other journalists, whether irrespective of being your competitors. But what do you think? I was looking at the fact that it's competition. What do you think is accounting for what appears?
so must it be. It must deteriorate more, and never must it show any sign of improvement. That's a typical British way of looking at it. And then on one side, to here, I can report that there was a military man called Red Light, who had said that if you have the freedom of speech, they have freedom of assassination.
Whoa.
Yeah, whoa. So the media is always caught in a vice. On one hand, the media is fighting to do its work as the mouthpiece of the whole of humanity. I think media people are misunderstood, or you are trivialized, but you shouldn't, because the media represents a major aspect of the, I don't know, but it's a balancing act. Out of it all comes your professionalism. Once you are professional, then you rise above it all. And the professionalism also involves going above your ownership, because the media is owned, definitely. Rupert Murdoch is there. Well, whatever he's doing with Fox News, we all know. So ownership is there. We can't discount it. But it's for you, or for us, the journalists, to also rise above it, and at the end of it all, we are always on top because we've been professional. But if we haven't also been professional, and we pander too much to the whims of our owners and ownership, then the problem becomes so completely confused.
I want to play devil's advocate a bit.
Please do.
Is it always the case that when a journalist is being unprofessional, that they may be pandering to the dictates of maybe a government or a business, a powerful business group? Is there a point where, in doing your work, rather challenging authority,
that it's not a very profitable market? Many people make the mistake to think that you guys are making so much money. No, you are not making so much money, because your owners themselves have so much to spend to get you these resources. Like I've seen this, I'm truly impressed. But it involves money. Where does the money come from? The market is a small market. Advertising revenue is small. So journalists really don't get much out of their work. So it leads into a lot of unethical things. So once you get also patronage, not just from your employers, but from politicians, and you can get a little knock of you here and there, well, there it is. That's where the non-ethical behavior comes in. It's a complex thing, and I believe that there should be an open debate like we are doing right now. Let's put the cards on the table. Let's see where we all stand. As the journalists, the politicians, the business people, let's just say interest groups, and the general public. Let's open things up and put our money where our mouth is, or is it our mouth where our money is, whatever. So you're absolutely right. It's a good question. There are many tempting things along the path of journalists.
Do you think, coming back to, so on the issue of patronage, do you think a journalist can be associated with a political party, or perhaps taking some solace and still maintain professional conduct, ethics in their work?
It's possible. As for the solid thing, I'm not sure. But as